just like to start off by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, and also like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Guys, students, thank you very much for taking the time to come to our Technology Careers Super Fair session. My name's Elliot. I work for Prospool, who is, we're hosting the event today, and this is our engineering and construction focus session. So essentially how the day is going to work, I'm going to speak to your four panelists here. So we've got Cherry, we've got Kieran, we've got Brenna, and we've got Amanda, and they'll do a quick intro on themselves, who they are and where they work and what they do in a couple of minutes. Now, in regards to your questions and answers, can I please just ask, if you do have a question, if you put it into the question and answer function at the bottom of the Zoom tab, and just try not to put it through the chat function, just so we can all have the questions in the same spot. So we'll kick it off with, I think we'll kick it off with Brenna. So Brenna, if you can just introduce yourself and what BAE Systems do and what you guys do.
Excellent. So hi everyone, it's great to be here today. As mentioned, I'm Brenna from BAE Systems. I'm the early careers talent acquisition specialist here. And we're one of Australia's largest defence contractors. So we work on a large number of defence contracts across many states in Australia. So yeah, great to be here.
Brilliant. Thank you, Brenna. And it's BAE, not BAE, isn't it?
Did Sam tell you that?
Sam definitely told me
right.
that.
Yeah, that's right.
Just for anyone going into BAE Systems later, if you're asking a question, it's BAE and not BAE.
Thanks for that.
How about yourself, Cherry? Talk to me about Cochlear.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you are all doing well. My name is Cherry. I'm a software engineering manager at Cochlear. So a bit of what we do, we are the pioneer and world leader in implantable solutions. We are quite passionate about tackling global hearing loss. And the mission is to help people hear, connect with others, and live life to the fullest. Sydney here is a global headquarter. We research and manufacture our devices in Macquarie University and Lancove. We develop a range of products, include cochlear implant, bone conduction implant, and active osseo integrated steady state implant. We're around for 40 years now. We have offices in 20 countries, and we have customers in over 100 countries. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Brilliant. Thanks, Cherry. How about yourself, Kieran?
Cool. Okay. So my name's Kieran. I have a job title which is called Principal Architect here at Lendlease. So I work in a part of our business which is called Lendlease Digital, and that's really focused on creating digital solutions to add to the things that Lendlease does as an organisation. So for those of you who don't know who Lendlease is, I like to refer to it as the biggest company you've never heard of. We don't usually advertise or do big sort of campaigns, but really, Lendlease is a proud Australian company, formed in the 60s by an immigrant called Dick Dusseldorf. We have a real focus on something that we like to call placemaking and creation. So Lendlease is an integrated property company, which means we don't just build things, we also invest in assets, we manage buildings, we create open places, public spaces. We operate, our headquarters here in Sydney, but we operate really in four main regions. So Australia, Europe, which is headquartered in London, Americas, we're on the East and the West Coast, and we have a large presence in Asia as well. Really, one of the big drivers of Lendlease is creating what we like to call the best places. You probably would have heard of some of them. Sydney Opera House is, one of the projects that we have done over time. The September 11 Memorial in New York. We've done a lot of the sort of the placemaking parts that you would know and recognise, both in Australia, like Darling Harbour, Cockle Bay Wharf, Barangaroo, places in Victoria and Queensland. So where everything that you can possibly think of in the property and construction chain. And, one of the big things that we're focused on now is how do we create digital places which really augment the physical places that our operating business does.
Yeah, brilliant. It's definitely, for myself, coming from construction recruitment and knowing about Lendlease for a long time, I've definitely learned a lot about you guys over the last 12 months in that tech space as well. So it's really exciting. How about yourself, Amanda, over at Lockheed Martin?
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm the HR Talent Solutions Manager here at Lockheed, and one of the best part of my job is that I get to look after our early careers pathways, and I'm really excited to be spending some time with you today. For those of you that don't know, Lockheed Martin is one of the largest global organisations. And in Australia, we're primarily engaged in the integration and sustainment of advanced technology systems and products, and we sit in that space, air, land, sea and cyber domains. And we also have a large presence in the defence contracting area as well. So we're working on some of Australia's most bleeding edge defence programs. And we're in every mainland Australian state, I should say, and got just about 1,100 people here in the region as well. So yeah.
Brilliant, thank you, Amanda. And we'll go around, I guess, we'll start with yourself, Kieran. If with students, I guess, aspiring to work for Lendlease in that tech space, what sort of advice would you give them?
Well, I guess, look, there's two pieces of advice which I always give to people, particularly coming into the property and construction sector, but into the technology part of that, right? And one of the things which is interesting and very exciting about property and construction is it's a real interesting mixture of heavy sort of engineering discipline, but also quite a lot of creative outlets, right? And for Lendlease as a company which is really interested in the creation of place rather than just the building of buildings, one of the things that I'm always, quite adamant on talking to students is don't underestimate the value of driving that creative part of your skill set, right? So, not only just, looking at other types of subjects outside of the standard, STEM and engineering ones, but actually looking at, those softer subjects, public speaking, art, creative expression, because within Lendlease, the creation of place is actually very heavily linked to the creation of those digital experiences as well. Because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is we're trying to bridge the gap between the physical and the digital for a lot of people that live, work and play in, the places that we bring to life. And so being able to really tap into not only those deep engineering skills, but also that creative part is something that we really look for, particularly, in our operating business, but also in our digital business as well. And, that goes into don't be afraid to ask questions. One of the really interesting things that we're looking at challenging inside Lendlease is the construction and property industry is very unchanged. And so one of the things that we're very focused on in Lendlease is really trying to push the boundaries of what it is that property and construction is currently, the methodologies that are being used, but also the digital solutions that help to enhance those, not only to create the places, but also make sure that those places maintain their value over a long period of time. And that's where, our viewpoint into digital, we think that is. And, we've got a very interesting, pipeline and backlog of work to do over the next X many years, including, a lot of work we've mentioned, or other guys have mentioned already, We also do a lot of defence work in different places. So we obviously build defence housing in the US, but we also do a lot of work in the physical construction of offices and buildings for the defence as well. And being creative and being inquisitive and also looking to challenge the norms is some of the things that we really look for people to come into Lendlease.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much for that. It's a very very good detailed answer. And I think for the tech students, obviously that construction and obviously understanding what you guys do in a bit more detail in that tech space is obviously it's pretty exciting what you guys are doing over there. How about yourself, Cherry? So people coming into Cochlear, what piece of advice, I guess, would you pass on to them working within that sector?
Yeah, sure. So within the medical device and healthcare sector, Cochlear is mission-driven and customer-centric. I'll explain the 4 customer groups that we have. Main customer groups is a candidate who potentially can benefit from a cochlear implant, recipients who have a cochlear implant, the carers who look after them, and the hearing professionals. So the advice I have is to have empathy, putting customers at center of what you do, from listening to them, putting yourself in their shoes, to creating a positive experience for them. And that experience is wide-ranging. It goes from the visit to the clinic, to the surgery, to the rehabilitation after surgery, and the digital experience around like telehealth, online portal for them to self-serve, and also just be passionate to learn, grow, and to innovate, and to embrace diving into an area that you have no experience with, and to gain knowledge through communication and collaboration. So in this space, it is always a massive team effort to get the job done. So yeah, so that's my advice to the potential grads.
Yeah, I think that that advice of keeping an open mind and wanting to learn is obviously really important, regardless of any company you want to go and work for. If you're a student and you've got that ability to keep an open mind and want to continually learn and kind of upskill yourself, that's definitely a really good piece of advice to give. And we'll circle back to yourself, Brenna. In regards to BAE Systems, I mean, in regards to the application process, what do you guys look for? Like, what's really important to you, and what kind of stands out for students to progress through those stages?
Yeah, so for us, we're really looking for best of both worlds, I guess. So we're looking for people with the right technical skills and abilities, but also the right behavioural fit for in our teams. And what we mean by that, because I know a lot of the time people say, well, what does that mean? So we're really looking for people who are able to, work well within teams, able to share their ideas, able to, bring others on the journey with them, think critically, and be adaptable with how quickly things are moving. So I guess when we're looking at applications, we're considering a range of factors. So for us, we look at degree and GPA, we look at any work experience you've had. So that could be anything from, part-time job at McDonald's to, an internship with a defence company or any company. And we also look at extracurricular activities. So, are you doing any mentoring? Are you doing any volunteering? You could be a captain of a sports team. And all these sorts of things start to give us a really good idea in terms of your fit against those areas that I mentioned. So technical and behavioural as well. And I guess in order to stand out, one thing that really appeals to us is because we're looking for people who, really want to join BAE Systems and they really want to make a contribution to defence. So we find that any sort of personalisation in the cover letter and application process can really help stand out amongst the crowd. Yeah.
I could definitely, coming from a talent acquisition role myself, that ability to stand out in a cover letter that's if the employer requests one. The ability to stand out in a cover letter is quite important, to not be generic, because there's probably more than one coming through. So it's really good to be able to stand out there. Thanks very much for that, Brenna. And same question to yourself, Amanda. So at Lockheed, what do you guys look for in an application, I guess, specifically or quite broadly? And then I guess what the students need to show to progress through the stages?
Yeah, great question. So I think, we absolutely understand that the process to, making the decision as to your graduate employer is a really, really important one. And we're really interested in your story. So going back to what Brenna talked about, the ability to be able to tell the story by way of that cover letter, the resume, also picking up on the important things that you want to tell in your story as well. Obviously, if we're requesting copies of transcripts, making sure the simple things like making sure they're attached is important as well. My tip is always that make it easy to read. It doesn't need to be War and Peace. We absolutely understand that most people are at the beginning of their careers in perhaps the chosen discipline they're going into, and some people are onto their second careers, and we're really interested in hearing about that. They've maybe gone and re-qualified. So just make it easy to find, easy to read. It tells your story and highlights your key achievements and your key successes. There's always lots there that you can talk about throughout your tertiary studies or your work that you've done today. So just making sure that you put that there, that we can read a little bit about that as well, and then the process continues where we'll take all of that and learn more about you throughout the further parts of the process, and you'll get to learn more about us and the people and the kind of work we're doing here as well.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Amanda. And we'll circle back, I guess, to Kieran, and this is more around students who actually get accepted into the program, whether it be at Lendlease or just getting accepted into programs in general. What type of advice would you give them to, I guess, survive and thrive kind of in their first year of employment?
Look, I'm going to echo what a lot of people have already said, but graduate programs are a really good opportunity for people for students to, I don't want to say try before you buy, but particularly our graduate program allows you to cycle through a couple of different disciplines, and it gives students the ability to really try a few of the different areas within, a faculty or a discipline or a business unit, and really try and get a handle on which of those that they're going to be the most passionate about. And I mean, look, for us, it's been quite successful, cycling students through a couple of rotations within a thing. So generally, around about 70% of our graduates continue on with careers inside Lendlease, and part of the advice that we always give students who are in our graduate program is to actually be quite open with the things that you are enjoying and you're passionate about, and not to really just accept some things that probably aren't going to be aligned to the types of things that you want to do. And particularly within Lendlease, because we have such a wide range of different careers internally within the organisation, the job that you have when you join our graduate program might not necessarily be the job that you end up with. And so really being quite open and focused, but also being very sort of prescriptive on the things that you think you're going to be passionate about. And part of the driver of our graduate program is to really help people understand or help people get a handle on the realities of what those jobs are. And so through our graduate program, we like to give our students lots of different experiences, including and not limited to, going out and visiting, some of the places and locations that we are, making sure that they cycle through a couple of different roles so they don't just experience a really sort of one-sided view of what it might be in the future as an employee of Lendlease. And so, taking those opportunities, in the right sort of frame of mind, being very aware of what it is that, you're passionate about and what you're not passionate about, because you don't want to find yourself in a position for 3 or 4 years where you go, well, this probably wasn't what I expected to be. But on the other hand, be open to things that probably weren't experiences or careers that you were thinking about, but you might discover are actually quite aligned to the way that you want to sort of grow your career over time.
Yeah. So take the challenges essentially.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, look, you know, speaking from experience, when I left university, realistically, I didn't really know what I was going to want to do for the next X many years in my career. And so making sure that you grab those experiences and actually really understanding what the core of a job is and what the core of that career is like a really powerful thing for graduates.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's some good advice. Thanks for that, Kieran. And same with yourself, Cherry.
Yeah.
Students coming into Cochlear, what advice in their first year? How do they thrive? How do they survive in that? I guess that generally quite a challenging first year that students have.
Yeah, definitely. It's not easy, you know, being a fresh graduate. And at Cochlear, we have lots of brilliant, intelligent, friendly, and helpful people. So my advice for students in that first year is to be okay to ask lots of questions, be curious, and have the courage to ask for help, guidance, or mentorship. And, you know, just be willing to learn and make the most out of the different rotations that you will be placed on. And most importantly, make an effort to know people in your broader team and make connections with everyone, not just other fellow grads. You know, we have people who made, you know, lifelong friendship, you know, just out of this experience. That's great. And, you know, also lots of people made great connection with colleagues, you know, just broadly. That is very important to remember. Yeah,
brilliant. Thank you very much. And we'll probably, just for the students who are obviously still on board, if you do have any questions, obviously chuck them through the Q&A function. If we can answer them live, we will. But obviously, and we've had some that have come through that we're just answering by text as well. But if you do have any questions that you want to obviously ask, we've got about 10 minutes left. If you've got any questions that you want to ask any of the four panelists or myself, feel free to put those through the Q&A function. So we'll have from yourself, Brenna, in, I guess, one sentence, why should people come and work for BAE Systems? Just to put you on the spot.
Definitely. I think, you know, defence is a really, really exciting industry to be involved in. It's, you know, really important for our nation's security. So you get that real sense of pride working for a company like BAE Systems. We really pride ourselves on giving graduates really meaningful work. So you won't just be sent off to collect coffee for the team or anything like that. We get you involved in the day-to-day activities. We put support mechanisms in place to help you grow and develop to whatever you aspire to be. So yeah, I think it's a really, really great opportunity to kind of, you know, find your feet after studying for so many years, learn, you know, all the tricks of the trade and, you know, become a really, really valued member of our team. Yeah,
brilliant. Thank you very much. What about for yourself, Amanda? Why should people come and work at Lockheed?
Yeah, great question. It's a really important decision to pick the right graduate employer for each of you, obviously. Our graduate development program won the Defence Connect Award last year for the best graduate program in Australia, which we're really proud about. So you know, our graduates get to work on you know, some of the largest and most complex defence programs in Australia, which is exciting. So it's utilising all the things you've used in your studies. We have a program over the top that makes sure that you're supported and developed during, you know, your transition into the workforce as well. So we're putting in place buddies and mentors. We're working on your soft skills as well as your technical skills. So they're the things that are going to be important to take you through your career. Work-life balance, so important. So we have a 9-day compacted fortnight. So every second Friday we're off. So, you know, when you put those things together and working with a great team that values contribution and values ideas and innovation, you know, we think it's a really compelling opportunity for people to come and join the graduate development program at Lockheed.
Brilliant. That's the 9-day fortnight, something that I would have liked coming straight out of uni. But it's and there's a question that's just come through that I'll probably put out to all the panelists, and then we'll circle back to Lendlease and Cochlear in the last couple of minutes. Just in regards to the differences between students coming into, I guess, graduate programs straight out of uni or going into entry-level roles, and I guess the benefits and the differences between the two. It might be up to maybe the HR panelists to answer that, but if anyone's got any kind of insight on that, it'd be great to hear.
Yeah, I can jump in. So at Cochlear, most of the entry-level opportunities are through the summer student program to graduate program. Entry-level jobs outside of that is more limited. However, we do have job alert that you can sign up for. If jobs available in this area, then you'll be notified.
Yeah, I'll jump into that as well. I mean, one of the things that's really exciting in Lendlease at the moment is part of the thing that we're doing in our digital business is, and people probably don't know this, but construction and property is the least digitized industry literally on the planet at the moment.
You're not wrong.
And so we're actually pretty aggressively hiring at the moment all types of positions, from entry level, software engineering positions up to quite senior positions. But one of the things that I will add is the structure and the support that we provide in the graduate program and sort of the breadth is quite useful to allow students to really get a handle on how our industry works. It's quite complicated to get in. It's a bit clicky, right? So property and construction is a game for property and construction people. And one of the benefits of coming in through our graduate program is it helps you to get your feet into the way that we talk and the way that we sort of act as well. And for us in digital, that's really important because we're trying to create some new digital solutions for an industry which realistically hasn't changed since the 1950s. So there's so much to do and so many interesting problems to fix that we're looking for lots of different types of people from lots of different places.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks for that. I'll just cut in there just because we've got a couple more. But I think, the difference between the entry level and the graduate program, look, you do get a lot more kind of well-rounded exposure with graduate programs. Obviously, depending on the length, it might be 12 months, might be 2 years, it might be 3. But you do tend to get a lot of well-rounded exposure. And they're kind of fully fledged and they're built for students coming straight out of uni. So entry level obviously might be a little bit more difficult. You might get lucky and obviously get chucked in the deep end and it might work really well. But on the flip side of that, the downside is you can sometimes be kind of left alone too much. You're not getting the support that you need. So there's pros and cons to both. And I've always said to explore both of them. And we'll circle back just because I know we've got a couple of minutes. We'll go to Cherry and why students should come and work for Cochlear.
Yeah, sure. So the opportunity to collaborate with the global team and working in cutting-edge innovative ideas that make a positive impact on people's life. These are some of the favorite reasons for myself. And also, we have an amazing leadership team that really values our people's career and development. And finally, just a plug for my colleagues, Jennifer, Andrew, and Ben, who's a grad himself. They are running virtual booth from 2:30 to 4 p.m. I encourage everyone to go and visit them. Thanks.
Brilliant. And now you've got a minute to answer this question, Kieran. I'm going to keep you on the timeline. One sentence. Why should students come and work for Lendlease in that tech grad program?
Okay. So I sort of mentioned this before. There is so much opportunity to transform the way that construction and property is done globally if you come and join us. We operate in more countries than anything. We have some of the world's most exciting property and construction development. I mean, Google in the US is one of our major customers. So you'll work with interesting people, you'll look to fix interesting problems, you'll literally be able to touch the places that you help to create. And property and construction, as one of the largest employees in the world, is also it's a great way to also scratch your itch around, sustainability, social values and those things, because the digital things that we create enhance the physical places that our organisation then creates in the world. So you can touch and feel, and you can point to it, and you can tell people, I helped to create that.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, guys, that just about wraps it up.